Welcome, everybody who is watching this, listening to this. Welcome, Amanda Anderson, to hi to this episode of "Are You Crazy or Are You Crazy Aware?" And today I'm interviewing, as I already mentioned before, I'm interviewing Amanda Anderson, who is on the road with her van since a few days. Left her house in Stockholm, Sweden, and is on the road. How are you today? And why did you choose to go on the road?
Yeah. Good morning. Hi, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you, Evie, for inviting me. I love the topic of this. It's such a cool topic. Yeah, me and my boyfriend and my little dog were out in our camper van. We just left Stockholm a couple of days ago. And it came from just this sense of like, oh, I just need to choose something different. It was something that I was quite, I had that in my world for quite some time, and now it was just time. It just kind of matched with a lot of different things, and we got the van and we got it all set up, and yeah, now we're in Denmark, so we haven't gotten very far just yet, but we are driving through the whole of Europe, and for this trip that we're on now, we'll be away for 2 months. So yeah, it's super exciting and very like a lot of fun.
I love it. I think it's very inspiring. Um, wow. So you mentioned before that you really love the topic. Are you crazy or are you crazy aware? What has been like your experience, and where did you start it? Because you're like on a very different journey. You're working with awareness, consciousness, spirituality, your body, relaxation. So I've known you for like 6 months or something, and these are like the things that I know of you already, and probably like what do I don't know. So what has what do you have with this topic, and where did you start your journey, and why? Lots of different questions in one.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think for me, I have always been very aware. I just had no idea that I was aware, which I think
Yeah,
is the case for many people.
yeah.
Um, so, for me, it showed itself as stress, anxiety, you know, not thinking that life was super fun. Um, and I always had that, but I always had it combined. I created this funny little cocktail of limitations for myself, because I also totally like, because my life has always been quite easy in a way, like seeing it from the outside. I always, I had a loving family, I had a beautiful home when I grew up, I had really good relationships with my mom and my dad and my brother. We had money. I grew up in a very, Sweden is extremely easy to live in so many ways. So I always had this like sense of there is something else. Like I always had it, but I didn't know that I was aware of it. I didn't know that I was aware, period. Um, but it kept like creeping into my world ever since I was little, of this like, and I guess it kind of showed itself as frustration and impatience and boredom. Because, I was like, is this it? But then I paired
Recognize
that,
that.
yeah. And then I paired that with like this enormous sense of like shame, because I was like, who am I to want to ask for something more? Like, who am I
Wow.
to be unsatisfied with my life? Because look at, I have everything. So I kind of like, mm, always, now I know that, but I didn't know it now. But I've always been like, yeah, but I want to like, I know that magic is possible, and I know that everything can be amazing. I know that we can all be happy. I know all of these things, like being such a dreamer, like ever since I was a child. And at the same time, like, but I should be satisfied. I shouldn't be asking for more. How dare I, that whole kind of thing.
Wow.
So, but then when I was, I think I was 23 maybe, or something like that. Yeah, I think 23. I went to a this is funny that I'm talking about this now, because yesterday when I was driving and my boyfriend Gregory, he took a little nap. I was driving and I listened to music really loud in my headphones because I was a little bit tired and it was, you know, I had to stay awake. So I listened to Justin Timberlake, like really loud, like old Justin Timberlake, you know, and I was like dancing in the seat and being super happy, you know. I think his music is such a happy.
Yeah, he has fun music.
Yeah. And now when we're talking about it, I remember that when I was 23, I went to a Justin Timberlake concert. And it was like the first time that I did anything like on my own. I remember I really wanted to go to the concert. Nobody really wanted to go. My boyfriend at the time was like, ugh, Justin Timberlake. So I was like, okay, but I'll just go on my own then. And I remember that my boyfriend, especially, and some friends, they were like, you're going to a concert on your own? What? Like, what's wrong with you? You know? But I just knew that I wanted to go. And I remember something happened during that concert, and it was probably not the concert itself. It was more my choice of doing something alone, like actually spending an evening on my own, which I probably had never done before that. Because, you know, I was a party girl and I always wanted to hang around friends and be out clubbing and blah blah blah. And I was always in relationships. Sorry, I'm talking about a million things at the same time.
I love
We
it.
opened
Thank you
a can of
for all
worms.
these bits and pieces.
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it to
yeah,
some sort of degree. Yeah.
totally. And I so clearly remember the moment when I stepped out of this arena after the concert and I just stood there, and all of the people, you know, when after a concert there's so many people rushing towards their cars and the subway and whatever. And I just stood there and I realized, I was like, fuck, I don't think I've ever been this like happy.
Wow. I get
And I
goosebumps.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, and I just had this like immense sense of like, like here I am. You know, when you just have those moments when you find you and you're like, ah, there I am. And that was one of those moments for me. And in that moment, I realized that, okay, I need to change a lot of things in my life. So following that, you know, I broke up with my boyfriend that I had been with for 8 years. And then I found Access Consciousness and started taking classes, started using the tools, and yeah, started on this wild journey that I am on still today. However many years later, 12 years later. um so yeah, yeah, it was like something just clicked that night. Something
Wow.
was just like, okay, poof, now it's time. It's almost this sensation of like this, the planets are aligned. Here you go. Here's the energy, here's the awareness that you've been looking for. And I finally, in that moment, and you know, then there was a lot of stuff after that. Obviously, it's not just like going from this to this. That
Yeah.
was a
Chain
process.
reaction.
Yeah, totally. And it's still a process, and it's still like an ongoing exploration. But something big shifted there when I probably for the first time started to realize that all of that I am actually aware of, all of that weird, like the dreams, the hopes, the like, but what if, you know, what if there actually is a possibility of what, you know, this grand, epic, joyful, happy world and life.
Wow.
In that moment, I think was the first time that I was like, maybe I am actually aware of something. Maybe I'm not just crazy.
I love that. You know what really stands out with this and so recognizable is you did something different. So you went out of your comfort zone. Like everything that like how much things do we choose on a daily basis that's like automatic. Like we don't even reconsider it or wonder about it. It's just like what you do. This is my life. So you went out of your comfort zone, you chose something different. And with that choice, there was like something different, actually like a different energy to your palette of choices and energy was available. And that you actually, instead of like having it as a nice concept, yeah, you accessed that energy that made like that actually makes the desires that we have and the asks, it makes it real and palpable. I'm not crazy. I'm not inventing it. It's not a concept. It is real. It is possible. And that's like part of the element of awareness. Sometimes awareness is like fleeting and it doesn't feel like anything. And then when it connects with energy, it's like, oh, everything comes alive. You come alive. Your body comes alive.
Goosebumps, yeah.
Goosebumps.
Yeah,
Magic.
totally.
Yeah.
And it's such a like, because all of that I was mentioning before, like, who am I to want to ask for something greater? How dare I? I should be satisfied. Look at, I already have everything that I need, da 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 da. All of our points of views, all of our, everything that we decide, and every limitation that we put in place, that's what is like in the way. It's like all of these layers that doesn't allow exactly what you said. It doesn't allow that connection of awareness and like, I want to go up, because it feels like this like connection to the
Yeah.
universe, or whatever you want to call it. But when you start to kind of like, okay, maybe I don't, like, do I really need to function from that? Is that point of view serving me? Or can I
Yeah.
actually make rid of that? And sometimes that work is, you know, conscious, like we are really consciously looking at, okay, so, what points of views do I actually have in place? And then you can get rid of it. But sometimes it is exactly like that evening for me. I didn't think about it. It was not a cognitive thing. It was just,
Yeah.
I chose something. And
Yeah.
that's the beautiful thing about making choices, because for every choice you make, you can access more of you and what is actually
Yeah.
true. And then it is that sensation of like, oh, wow. And then something clicks, and then you get like an aha moment, and then you get this download of something. And
Wow.
that's, for me, that's the magic of it. Like,
Yes. 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 And it's I'm like very much into like energy exploration for the moment. And it's even like what you say. So the like the energies, like let's call them like the high vibration energies that you can't really access through your mind. And then like the thinking with like when you're like judging and all these judgments on the spectrum of judgments like doubt and shame and guilt and you name it, glummed with or like attached with feelings. And these are also energies, but I have noticed like these are the energies that like really draw you away. They're like low energy vibrations that like really distract you and pull you away from that high vibration energy. Um,
it's
and
like,
yeah,
it's like, I don't know, you guys listening, maybe you're a bit younger than we are, but like when you try to find a radio station on like an old school radio, there's
yeah,
usually like a lot of static. Like when you dial and you try to find like, oh, but I'm looking for 92.6, but I can't get there because it's like it's like all of this, you know, stuff in the way. That's what is all of those things, like all of the doubt, all of the fear, all of it, it's like the static disturbance. But then when you fine tune that and you're like, there it is, there was the channel I was looking for, that's when you're like, woof, whoa, okay. And that, for me, those are the moments where I also feel like I find me. It's not only that I'm like connected, or whatever you want to call it, to consciousness or the universe or God or like whatever. It's, the same word for, or many words for the same thing, to this higher whatever it is. But it's also when in that moment, I'm like, there I am. Because it's like in all of that, in all of the chatter and all of the noise, it's
yeah,
so easy to forget and to lose ourselves. And that
yes,
that can be the tricky thing with being so aware, because it's
yeah,
like, that static kind of noise of like, what's going on over here? No shit, I'm aware of something over here. And it's like, if we don't practice sorting out what is what, then how can we ever differentiate between what am I actually aware of and what is actually, me and true for me? And
I love
that's for
that.
me that is the continuous exploration
Yeah.
of really keep fine tuning and really having, and it goes faster and faster and with more and more and more ease.
Yeah.
And now 12 years later, I am quite like, okay, I know that here I am, like aligned, here I am. And then sometimes, oh, I'm over here, or I'm over here, or like, something is going on, or I jump into someone else's world, try to fix them, or, whatever fun things that we tend to do. But I can like find myself back here much faster and much easier. But that takes practice, as with any kind
Yes.
of muscle. You have to build it and you have to keep working at it and find new ways. And for me, it's I do a lot of yoga, I meditate, I do breathing exercises, I
You
take
were
walks.
picking that out of my head energetically. I was like, my next question is, so what's your practice? What do you do?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like let me because like I fucking love your radio an analogy is like how because even like for me that's switching between the channels, that's that noise, that like white noise or gray noise or whatever, that used to be like my world. I didn't know any better. Like
Yeah.
I was just crazy instead
Mm.
of like crazy aware, and then like constantly delving it under energies of like judgment. um so yeah, like where do you start to like to even have like a slimmer of an energy to like, that's not me,
Mm.
to even, yeah, for like for people who like don't even know the difference.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And I
probably they know, otherwise they, well, I think like if you're watching this, you already know something
yeah, for sure.
there.
For
Okay,
sure.
I'm curious, your practice.
Yeah, and I also just want to mention, like, I think exactly what you just said with like thinking and believing that that noise is you. I think that's why so many people that are so aware, they turn to alcohol and drugs, for an example, or
Oh,
any
been there,
other.
done that.
Yeah, because if you have that constant like, you know, in your world and you believe that that is you, no wonder that you're trying to find ways to escape.
Yeah.
And that's what we do with all of our kinds of addictions, whether that is,
Food is one of these. Yeah.
exactly food, work, like that's
Work,
one thing that I have
even
done.
sports,
Yep.
like
Yeah,
excessive sports.
totally. Like all of it, drugs, alcohol, all of it. But for me, I think what it mainly actually comes down to is finding ways to become present.
Yeah.
Because it's like when we're in that white noise and we believe that that is us, we check out because it's too much. Like that's intense to
Yeah.
have that be your whole world. We we can, but yeah, it's almost impossible to actually be present in that because it's a lot.
Mhm.
We're aware to such a degree we will never understand it cognitively.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Like
Fuck
we're
yes.
not just picking up the feelings and the energies in the room that you're in. You're aware of it. You're like this big radio antenna again that is just
Yeah.
so aware of everything. So anyway, for me, it has been and is all about finding little ways and is like tricks basically to get present and to find that like, right, here I am. Like, and I do a lot of yoga. For me, like my body is a big part of that as well because
Hmm.
when I manage to get present with my body, that's like a key to also getting present with me.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
we are more than just this body, but this body is such a gateway to presence and to relaxation if we treat it that way. um so I do a lot of yoga, meditation. Access bars is a massive contribution to me. for walks in the forest, just, you know, cuddling with my dog,
Mm.
all these different things, but also just asking questions, like really being in. And this is where we can also use our like stubbornness and curiosity to our advantage. Because I don't know about you guys, but for me, I have always been the one that was like, but what about this? And what about this? And what about this? You know, and my teachers were like, ugh,
Don't be
Amanda,
so annoying, Amanda.
just, you know,
Shut up.
shut up and learn what you're
Listen.
supposed to learn and listen. Yeah.
Listen and swallow.
I was like, nah, I don't think so. You know, and now I am, again, I've been practicing this for about 10 years of really asking a lot of questions. And with asking questions, I don't mean like, should I wear a blue top or a red top? Like which one, you know, well, it can be that too. But it's
Yeah.
more the questions of like waking up in the morning and giving yourself a few seconds of like, hey, good morning. Hey, buddy. Hey, Amanda. Hey, what would be fun for me today? What would I like to choose today? Like what would be a contribution to me right now? And like constantly being in these asking questions rather than just, as we mentioned before, going on this autopilot. Oh, I wake up. Oh, okay, it's time for a shower. And then it's time for breakfast. And then it's time for a walk with the dog. And da 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 da. And we just do this like scheduled kind of way of, you know, like what if we allowed, what if our days could look so different? Because we choose to actually ask questions and follow like, oh, actually, I'm quote unquote supposed to get up right now because it's this and this time, whatever we have decided. But I actually really feel like staying in bed for another 10 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Because the cool thing as well is when we choose based on what is actually going to contribute and what is actually like, oh, this will be nice right now, then we can enjoy it fully rather than having this like, okay, I guess I'll stay in bed a few moments more because I'm so tired, but in actuality I should get up, and I'm going to start getting stressed over the fact that I'm not getting up in time, and da 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 da, da, and there, you know, it starts.
Yeah.
So
And then like somebody else or something else is basically like leading your day, the job, the money,
yeah,
the kids,
yeah,
the husband,
yeah,
if or like, you know, all these different ways.
yeah, yeah, totally. And I mean, for me, I have very consciously created a life where I do have a lot of freedom. And that's not always easy. Like again, now we're out on the road, and you know, the way that I have created my business and everything, it goes up and down. Sometimes I make a lot of money, sometimes I make no money. Sometimes I'm very busy, sometimes I'm not. But for me, the most important thing is to be able to choose every day, what would I like my day to look like? So I've
Yeah.
also very consciously chosen not to have kids because that just doesn't really work for me. And this is also this, you know, when you're willing to find that, like, okay, here I am. And you keep practicing that presence, that like being with yourself, then you can also get more and more and more awareness of what would I like to choose, not just today in this moment, but also like what would I like to my life to be like. Because otherwise, if we have this like this white noise static kind of thing as our reality, it's like this quote, I can't remember who said it, but I can't remember, but it's basically like, if you don't create your life, the world will.
Wow, that's
And
yeah.
that happens when we're not present, when we're not consciously choosing what would I actually like my life to be like. When we function from, oh, but I should, this is what's expected of me, this is the normal way, I have to do this in order to fit in, da 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 da. That's not you being aligned and present with you. And it takes balls. Like to be willing to choose to create your life in a different way, especially when you're so aware. Because one of the things that we tend to like slip into is, oh, I'm aware of this person having this projection of me or this expectation. They're expecting me to choose this certain thing. Like
Be
how
a
many,
certain way. Yeah.
I'm 35 now. You can just imagine how many people have the expectation that I should be having, like, it's time to have kids now. You know, because soon you're going to be too old and then you're going to regret it and da 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 da. And I'm like, okay. But now, when you're willing to have, when you're willing to know that you are aware, you can also be aware of everybody else's expectations of you and be like, okay, you can have that expectation of me. That's fine. But I am so aligned with me that that is always going to be more important than fulfilling someone else's expectation or doing what someone else thinks that I should do, etc.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
then
also,
that foundation is like strong enough.
yeah,
I've
totally.
noticed that it's still like I'm still developing that skill to like really yeah, be so present and clear on what direction I want to head for.
Yeah,
That if there's like anything that like tries to pull you back in or distract you, that you're like with kindness, you can say like, no, thank you, no, thank you,
yeah.
no,
And
thank you.
that's, again, like, if you don't actively create your life, the world will create it for you.
Yeah.
And I think that that for me has been the one of the massive differences between realizing that I'm not crazy. I'm just freaking very, very, very aware. And with that knowing and with that acknowledgement of like, okay, I'm just aware. Because just because you're aware of something doesn't mean that you have to do anything about it. And it doesn't have to mean anything. It can just be like, oh, I'm aware of that this person has this thought about me or they're judging me in some way. That would be relevant to me. Why?
Yeah. Yeah,
Amazing.
and like what I notice as well, like sometimes you're like really aware of the judgment and they're not even like particularly like personally judging you. They just have like this judgment in their world about so many different things. And yeah,
About
and then we're like
themselves.
so aware of it.
Yeah. And so many people walk around judging and being so mean to themselves, you know?
Oh,
And
yes.
that, for me, with being so highly, highly, highly aware, that has been one of the things that I've realized, and that again, I am actively choosing. It's not fun for me to be around people that are judging the crap out of themselves. So when I'm like, okay, so who would be a contribution to me, my life? Who would I actually like to spend my days with? Now it's one of the things that I'm really clear on is like, I want to hang around people that actually like themselves.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
way more fun and way
It is
easier.
there. It's so different. Yeah. Wow. You know what I asked with the department, like people in a relationship, and with this whole theme of like, am I crazy or crazy aware? To have like, yeah, people that, and instead of like, because we're so aware, and sometimes we're like really learning and practicing that awareness, that you have like people around who, instead of like making it a problem, like, oh, well, what are you aware of? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on? What's going on in your world? Like, what are you? Yeah, what are you perceiving? Like,
Yeah.
what is it? Instead of like, yeah, the opposite. Instead of like, diminishing it with the level of judgment because they
Totally.
don't know how to maybe even uh, deal with it themselves.
Yeah. And that can show itself in like the most simple quote unquote ways. Like if you get like you feel anxiety or whatever, it's so easy, especially maybe around family or partners or whatever, that they're like swoop into your world and they're like, what's wrong? What happened? What's happening? What can I do? How can I help you? And all of that may come from caring. It's not as if they, most people, they actually want to contribute to you, But exactly as you say, it comes from, there's a problem here that needs to be fixed. You have anxiety, I need to fix your problem. Rather than actually being like, you know, just being a lot of space and like, hey, what's up? What are you like? What are you perceiving? What are you aware of? You know, and when someone can be that, when you can be that for yourself, but also to have other people around you that can be that for you, fucking game changer with everything.
It is. And that's like to come back in the beginning of the conversation, you start to like engage and connect again with the higher vibrations that, or more you than the lower ones.
Totally. It's like,
Wow.
it's like reconfiguring your default system. Because for most of us, what we've been learned is
Yeah.
like, okay, anxiety, problem, what's wrong? I need to fix it. That's like the default.
Yeah.
What if we can actually train ourselves and recalibrate ourselves so that we instead are like, oh, anxiety, hang on. What question can I ask?
Yeah.
Is this
Yeah.
like, is this actually even mine, or am I just aware?
Yeah. And then like instead of like suppressing it, for example, with medication.
Yeah, totally.
Which is like still, yeah, it's not very empowering because you're like still not really accessing your ability that you are aware.
That's just another way, as we were mentioning before, that's just another way of checking out and not being present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Numbing it down.
Yeah. And
Ah,
one of
wow.
the, we're going to wrap up, but one of the things I just want to say as well, one of my absolute favorite things to remind myself of is like, what if everything that you have made wrong about yourself is actually what is strong about you?
I love that one.
Yeah.
What's wrong? What have you made wrong that's strong?
Like, what if anxiety or whatever it is, what if that was not a wrongness? What if you are not wrong? What if you can ask again, go to asking a question? What is this really? And what if there was some sort of ability, some sort of strongness here? And then that curiosity of like, okay, let me explore that. Totally different world.
Totally different world. A
Mm.
totally different world of possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Amanda. This has been an amazing conversation. I hope this was for everybody who's watching. This is a contribution for you too. Amanda, if people would love to get in touch with you, where can they do that? And I will also add this information below this video.
Awesome. So they can go to my website, which is amandaandersson.net. Or they can also follow me on Instagram, amandaandersson.access. Yeah, those are probably the best two places to go to.
Thank you. And just like a little mini side note, I live in Belgium and Amanda is coming to Brussels, Belgium. Well, it's going to be like a half an hour from Brussels away, more like in nature with horses, to really dive in deep and talk about all of this. It's a class from the modality Access Consciousness. It's called The Foundation. You also will be offering a body class and then like a very specific class that's called Symphony of Possibilities, which is all about energy and the accessing of your being and all of these different energies to start play and then employ and manipulate. And so I will add that link to these events as well. And I'm hosting this together with Freke. Keep forgetting the last name.
I don't know her last name actually.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Freke. I'm so sorry, but I will add her name as well, and because I'm hosting this with her, and yeah, I love this. What if this is like an ongoing exploration?
Yes, definitely. And how much fun can we have on that exploration?
Yeah, yes. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.